All right, so we are digging right into the first case of tonight, and it is going back into the Idaho 4 case. We're going to be talking about the trial and all things having to do with Bryan Kohberger, who is the current main suspect of the Idaho 4 massacre. Bryan Kohberger is the doctorate criminology student that is currently sitting in Latah County Jail, waiting for his trial. And we just had some search warrants released on January 23rd of 2024, and they are in reference to what date?
They were originally filed. These unsealed search warrants were originally filed September 12th, 2023.
All right. And we have 3 of them here. Well, first we have order setting sealed hearing on defendant's motion to unseal. That's just setting a sealed hearing to talk further about these, and the motion to unseal. Not further about these, but the motion to unseal that we talked about just recently. Then we have order to seal and redact Meta platforms, order to seal and redact Microsoft, order to seal and redact TikTok. And essentially, like, all right, I'll go through who the first one applies to. So the first one applies to Meta platforms and Instagram in parentheses. So essentially it's asking for any of the data associated with Meta platforms. And for those of you that don't know, Meta platforms is Facebook and Instagram. And when you're logged into the Meta business login or personal login, it is both accounts in there. And it actually highlights a few things in here, like pokes, having to do with Messenger, that's tied to Instagram, but it looks like
It's tied to Facebook.
Facebook, yep.
Facebook is the pokes.
Yep. And but they're going to be specifically looking more into the Instagram stuff for at least this search warrant here. And honestly, my original plan was to read through all this, but it's so many details. I can tell you what they're looking for. Everything associated with that account. And that means anybody who interacted with them in that account. That includes that person's IP addresses, any screen names, any location services, literally anything. Payments, anything tying to their personal accounts of Xana, Madison, and Kaylee. Everything. And we'll get into that just a little bit in an open conversation forum. Now, we also have OneDrive, Microsoft Corporation, OneDrive. And for those of you that don't know, OneDrive is a software, a program that is attached to a Microsoft account. You don't have to have a Microsoft account, but it's essentially a storage system that allows you to save anything, connect different things, seamlessly share information and pictures.
Is it a cloud?
Yeah.
And this one, by the way, I wanted to mention, this one was filed August 28th, 2023, originally, this warrant.
Okay. Awesome. And yeah, I mean, it can be a cloud. I think that I'm always unsure of whether I should use the term cloud, except in specific situations, because there's a lot of operating systems and things out there that aren't specifically clouds. This is and isn't. This is just a program, but there is cloud storage associated with it. Now, I wouldn't say that it is all cloud focused or anything like that. So I just want to be clear,
Okay.
you know, that it's not a cloud service system, but it does have cloud storage associated with it. And it's asking for, again, all things attributed to it. You're talking everything from accounts, email accounts, passwords, pins. Clearly, they believe that it is tied directly to cell phones because they're asking for IMEI numbers, which if you guys have watched our past videos about cell phone coverage, that is a cell phone or tablet or computers social security number. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And it's asking for all things associated with that. Again, financial, photos, search history, and we're going to be talking about the IMEI OneDrive Res ID information. Now, for the third one, we have TikTok, and this one's interesting. So this one's specifically asking for Ethan Chapin's TikTok account with any of the following email addresses, redacted, of course. Dylan Mortenson's TikTok account, Bethany Funk's email and TikTok account, and everything associated with all of them. So if you guys are interested in hearing all the details about it, you can check it out. We will have a video out there posting all of them. So I've seen some conversation out there around this a little bit, and I guess I'll go into the first thing here before we dig into the other two. And let's dig into the Microsoft OneNote IMEI. Okay. Now, it's interesting, all right, you guys. So let me explain it here. So if I have a OneDrive and I had a video on there and I wanted to share that with you, I could have this storage space in my OneDrive and send you an invite to give you access to that system. So essentially we could be trading, talking, watching, following up on information and invite certain people to it. Now, I'm interested that they want that IMEI. I'm interested because we've been told and have seen firsthand that the defense has come out and said, hey, there is nothing tying my client to these people.
Yeah.
So this account is not the geolocation background data type account I would expect to see when they're looking for that specifically. And clearly, based on this request, they are looking for specific data. Specific data here.
Like what?
Like we just talked about, literally everything from phone numbers to invites to IMEIs. I mean, we just went through it. Everything, IP addresses, everything. So it's interesting what they think what they're looking for. Now, some people have asked this because it says search warrant, IMEI, and OneDrive Res ID. So when you're talking about OneDrive specifically, more than likely what I would assume it is it stands for resource ID, which essentially is that sharing feature that I just explained to you, where I could create a OneDrive, all right, and then invite you and offer. Well, it's going to create an identification number for that saved storage, because essentially, just imagine you're in a room and all the information you want is in a drawer, right? And you pull that drawer out, you pull it out when you're ready, you do whatever you got to do, put it back in that drawer, and then put it away. And you have all your drawers numbered, so you know exactly where certain things are at in your room of drawers, right? That's essentially what I believe that Res ID is. However, there is another option here too. So there is also a Res ID that is associated with audio accounts.
It's audio accounts.
Yep.
What do you mean?
It is programming that can reverse engineer and break down audio data information. Now, I haven't done enough digging to find out if this is a program that OneNote offers. I have no idea if
You mean OneDrive?
Or OneDrive offers. Yeah, OneDrive offers. OneNote's a different part of the Microsoft, whatever platform. But ResID is a C++ library containing a complete emulation of the SID chips. This library can be linked into programs emulating the MPU to play music, made for a Commodore 64 computer. The Res ID has been linked with multiple different programs and into the trackers, geo trackers, cheese cutter, goat tracker. Res ID is a reverse engineered software emulation sound interface chip programmed by Dag Lem. This chip was used in a 64 computer. But yeah, really interesting that it has to do with audio and sound interface devices. So I don't believe it's that, but I wanted to be able to give that example. The reason why I don't believe it's that is because it specifically says one note res ID. But when that popped up, that's what I thought about first, is that sound programming. But interesting, right?
Yeah, it is interesting. I don't know what OneDrive is. Like, I've never used it before, so
yeah.
Like, how can they request
storage.
an IMEI? Does that just mean the IMEI of the device that was using that account?
No, I think that it's every IMEI that was attached and or associated with that account.
That's
OneDrive, yeah, but you're thinking singular. It's not singular.
Okay.
It's anybody who had access.
Okay, but that's what I meant. IMEIs that are part of that account.
Yeah, because there's the main IMEI, but it says in here that it's asking for anything connected to it. So there would be a main IMEI, right? So when you log into an account or you create an account, it saves your IP address information as your home IP, and every device has a specific essentially IMEI. I'll just use the term IMEI because it's used in here. But it has its own IMEI. So the program knows if you're logging into your home device, it knows if you're logging into your home computer or home phone or whatever. And then it will also keep track of other phones that have been invited to that storage as well. So it could be a whole multitude of information.
And we don't know who this is for.
We don't know who this is for. And what's really interesting here is if they have proof that Bryan Kohberger was somehow tied to these victims in this circumstance, this would be proven, like, without a doubt. This would be unarguable.
What do you mean? Like, if they found something here?
Yeah, if they found something here. But isn't it interesting that they're digging into, like, the victims and the roommates' information?
Yeah.
You know?
I think they're looking
it's
for
eye-opening.
Yeah, I think they're looking for anything they can to connect him to them. That's what I feel like is going on here, because these are filed towards the end of the year of last year when the defense was like trying to get the IGG. Like, I'm so curious what was going on behind the scenes, because we don't know. We have no idea what was going on behind the scenes.
I agree.
We only saw that. That's all we saw, was they were going after the grand jury indictment. They were going after the IGG. Like, they were going after all these things. And then they start digging more into the victims and the surviving roommates.
Which is what they should have been doing.
They should have done that already.
Right away. Yep. It should have been number one. It should have been...
Well, and they have their actual phones.
Yeah.
They have them.
Yeah.
Not the survivors. I assume they would have taken a copy of the survivors' phones, but they have all the victims' phones.
Look, to be fair, I have seen some videos comment on that. And look, so people that are tech knowledgeable are few and far between. But for whatever reason, I find that in the tech industry, everyone wants to be seen as, like, very tech knowledgeable. But if I had to give a percentage, I would say probably less than 5% of people in the US are actually tech knowledgeable. Now, if you're talking about the importance of the police having their phones, I've got to tell you, I got to break it to you. That doesn't matter. Them having their phones is meaningless. I could get access to their phones, everything in it.
So what you're saying
without
is
them.
the
Like, I don't
search,
need them.
the search warrants to go back and look at all of this history is what matters.
That's what matters. The phones don't matter. And honestly, I'm really surprised they haven't just given them back. So law enforcement has the ability to copy a device. It takes, well, it depends on how much data they have on there. But we've sold these devices to them, companies I've worked with. So I know all about them. So depending on how much information is in that phone, it could be 10 minutes, it could be a couple hours, if it's a large phone, and they don't need to have them anymore. So why they're continuing to hold them, I don't know. Number two, you don't need them. If I had somebody's IMEI information and I had their SIM information and a way to verify the account, depending on if they're using two-step verification or not, I don't need that to gain access to their entire phone. So if I don't, police doesn't. They're way more advanced than I ever am.
Yeah, and the family, the Gonzalez family have said they want that stuff back and that they're waiting on, like, the law enforcement is literally going to give them a copy of Kaylee's phone.
Yeah, that's
not her phone.
The only thing that I could think is if it's being used specifically as evidence, because yes, a phone used as evidence is a very good, it's a good item to be able to pull out if you need to land an argument, you know what I mean, in court. Like, I get it, but if you're getting pushback, you don't need it. You could hold up any phone and say this is their phone, you know what I mean, and get the same, it would land the same kind of oomph that, their phone would be. So I'm curious. I don't know exactly. I don't think that it's beneficial to say OneDrive is all cloud related, because it's not. It's part of Microsoft's suite of programs. That's what I meant to say earlier. The Microsoft suite. And Microsoft Suite has a whole multitude of different programs, essentially for anybody who needs anything having to do with a computer. The OneDrive happens to be their storage, the ability to essentially transfer your data anywhere to anyone at any time and back it up, and you know what I mean, from anywhere. And it's interesting that now they want to dig into their OneNote at that point, dig into their OneNote information. It's interesting that they're releasing this now.
It is interesting, but I wanted to say it's odd that the name's redacted. And I know we brought this up in the last unsealed search warrant video, but like, they included the names on the TikTok and the Instagram one. And we already know they're digging into Bryan Kohberger and have been, and we're investigating him. He's the defendant. We've seen the victims' names on so many documents of them requesting search warrants. So why is this one redacted? Why does the name have to be redacted?
Yeah, that
makes me think it is not Bryan Kohberger or the victims or the roommates, that it's somebody else.
Yeah.
And why?
Interesting.
I could be wrong. It could be one of, the people involved that we already know about, but what if it's not? Because I don't understand redacting this search warrant's name.
Yes.
The name. I don't get it. We know of all these people. We know of all their search warrants in the past. What's the point?
Well,
they redacted all the information that's important. I mean, so.
No, I don't think they did. I think this is very eye-opening. I don't think that I need to have these names to understand the connection. What's interesting here is looking at the responses of Ann Taylor, now knowing that all of this information was submitted before Ann Taylor came out and said, why do you have my defendant here? There is no connection.
Well,
so this was before that. Therefore, meaning there is nothing here that was connected to Bryan Kohberger.
This is before that?
Yes.
It was August 28th, 2023?
Yep.
That didn't mean she even got She has not received discovery in a timely manner, okay? So, I mean, who knows if she had this or not, but it's for the entire 2022 year, from January 1st to December 30th, the whole year until his arrest date.
Yep.
So it kind of makes you think, well, maybe it is for Bryan because it ends when he's arrested.
Sure. I think that
And it's for that whole year.
yeah.
Or maybe, I mean, because the end of the year is the 31st, not the 30th.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, we could theorize it all day long. Let's be real here. There's just no way to know. And again, what's interesting is that Ann Taylor has said that there is no connection.
Yeah, she has. She publicly stated that, and that matters. It truly does.
Yeah, it matters a lot. So I don't think anything was found here. And this is really digging deep, you guys. This is digging into stuff that you normally do not see in an investigation. You know what's really interesting? You know what this makes me wonder about? Do you remember the Russian hacker video we watched?
Mhm.
I wonder if and I'm glad I'm seeing this stuff, because I've been asking this whole time, like, why are we not seeing this application background data, geolocation, accounts, and all this information pulled? So I'm glad we're seeing it, that it was being done. It makes me feel a little bit better. But that so-called Russian hacker, there is no verification for it. I have no idea if they're actually Russian. I have no idea if they're actually a hacker. I have no idea if the thing was set up. But it was one of our past videos we were watching on it. They said that they reached out to Moscow Police Department and essentially said, this is your guy here. Here's the evidence. This is your guy because we were able to connect this, and this. Okay. He presents himself as a hacker, right? So what do you think the evidence is going to be?
Background data.
Technology related. Yeah. And app data related. Yes, absolutely. So did Moscow PD get something that made them do this and is digging? And it might not be him. I don't know. I don't know. We say it every time that we're not looking for his innocence or guilt. We're digging into the investigation itself, because police are people, and all people are trust but verify, right? And this is the verification.
Right.
So it's interesting, right? It's interesting.
Mhm.
And it makes me wonder, because look, they're asking for essentially what they're asking for is, like, when an application has coding to write the outline and bounds of that, they're asking for everything that goes in between those. They're asking for all IP addresses associated with it. Like, they're asking for things that would be hard for a user to find themselves.
You're right. Right.
So,
yeah.
which good. I'm not complaining about it. I think this is what I've wanted to see the entire time.
Yeah. I
Now,
agree.
going into the social media, if you guys have any questions, please make sure you leave a comment down below and I will answer them for you. I'm very familiar with all of these apps and platforms. Honestly, I'm more familiar with, like, the Microsoft Suite platform or apps than I am even, like, social media, but going into the
Meta one.
yeah, the Meta one here. I think I said this in the beginning of this video, but I'll say it again, that it's in relation to Meta with a heavy focus on Instagram. So for those of you that don't know, that might not have, like, a Meta business account, Meta attaches your Instagram and Facebook together into one login and platform, so you can manage both of them simultaneously. Within that, you get your messages, you get all the functionality of reading comments, responding to comments, and everything in between. So this is essentially asking again for everything within that. What do you think about it?
I think it's the dates I think are interesting. That they're requesting all the way to November 21st. Wait, what did I just say? November 21st, which is like a whole week or two after they're passed away. Also, like from summer to then, I don't know. It's for all three of the women victims, but not Ethan.
Yeah. Well,
I wonder if Ethan didn't have a Meta account or an Instagram account or
a Facebook account. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I thought he did.
Or it's felt like the Chapins have had information, and maybe that's why they've stayed more quiet than the rest of them, out of sight. Maybe they went out of their way to offer up the logins to police and give the consent for them to have it, whereas these three did not do that. I don't know. I'm just thinking of other potential possibilities here around
but
it.
Giving them the login, like you said, having the phone and the login doesn't matter. It's the background that does.
Well, when it comes to like the metadata information, you would be able to get a lot more here. And what they're asking for is like the types of services, payments, all the photos uploaded, where they've gone, who they've gone to. You would be able to get a lot of these things. What you wouldn't be able to get from having someone's logged in account
deleted stuff.
Exactly. Is if somebody left a comment or a thumbs up, like, poke, anything, and then it was deleted at a later time, that would be something you would need to reach directly out to the application for. Now, with what you're saying, I don't think it's weird. I don't think there's anything weird to it. I think we're seeing police actually do what I would expect police to do. It does, and do not take this the wrong way, you guys. I know we just had a whole week of police corruption. I'm not saying all of a sudden I'm like on police's side. Just because they're doing things right doesn't mean this takes away from all the things that we found they're doing very, 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 very wrong. But this is what I expect to see in an investigation are these documents right here, looking into it. I expect to see them go at least a couple weeks, probably a few months after the crime, because what we know about killers is a lot of times they come back to the scene of the crime. A lot of times they continue looking them up.
They revisit.
A lot of times they return back to newsletters, social media, all these things. So, you know, are they looking for those identifiers? Is that what they're looking for? I assume yes, but it's interesting, right?
I'm curious why they didn't go to Bryan's arrest date then.
I don't know.
That would make the most logical sense to me.
It would, but maybe there's more search warrants in here tied directly to his devices that would answer that. I don't know. Maybe they're looking at other options, because we've said from the very beginning that if these cops are doing this and aren't even thinking there could be a possibility of more people involved, or, you know, maybe they got their theory wrong, that's a mistake. That's a very big mistake. There's no such thing as 100% certain unless you have literal video footage of somebody doing the crime. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But these are interesting. They're very interesting. Were these unsealed intentionally?
Right.
Are they being unsealed to try and win back confidence? Because we're seeing a lot of these bigger names start coming to YouTube and saying, hey, I'm seeing problems.
Right.
Something's not right here.
You know
what I mean? This might not even be about, I'm telling you. So, you know what's interesting? Somebody left a comment saying, what did they say? They were like, oh yeah, of course, prosecution. Of course you're trying to say the prosecution is the one like character assassinating, just going off on us, right? Look, a good lawyer knows how to trial by media. Of course I'm saying that. It's obvious. Come on.
Yeah. So, you know what's interesting? The same date that those were requested is the same date Bryan waived his speedy trial. August 23rd. Right? That's what that Microsoft one and the TikTok one, not the Meta one. The Meta one was September 12th.
Okay.
But August 28th. I'm wrong. But he did just waive his speedy trial. And then the 28th was, looks like they were talking about a hearing or something. It was just media requests. But this is around that time, is like him waiving his speedy trial, them asking the grand jury to get indictment to be,
Yeah.
And it's actually around the kind of the alibi time too, it looks like. And we had a bunch of requests to seal other search warrants: Amazon, Apple, PayPal, Venmo, Spotify, YouTube. That's when we covered all those.
Yep.
This is around that time too.
Yeah.
When they ordered to seal all those, and we're ordering those. So it sounds like in these like few months at the end of 2023, like September, August, October, all those months, is they were really digging into apps, like really digging into them, because there's a bunch of like search warrants here. And we had the waiving of the speedy trial. Like, I'm so curious. Like, it almost feels like there was this turning point, this tipping point, when everybody was like, slow down, we need to look more. Don't you feel like that?
Maybe. I'm not sure. To be honest, I haven't looked into trying to put the research into a linear fashion to identify if anything is being anything strange pops out at me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's why I was just telling you, because like around this time he had just waived a speedy trial, and then it's 5 days later that they put in these search warrants, and then it's a month later, well, not even really, it's pretty close, that they are getting even more search warrants.
Yeah.
And they're really digging into app data,
which is what they should have done right in the very beginning.
Well, yeah, that's what makes me curious. Like, why did they wait till around the time he's waiving a speedy trial and trying to get the grand jury indictment overturned to start requesting all of this?
Yeah.
That makes me feel like maybe they expected to go to trial and didn't expect Anne to slow down and really dig into everything.
Yeah, I think yes. I was just looking at the first video that we put out where we started talking about app data and things like that, and it was right around the same time that stuff was being requested.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but so yeah, I think that is a very good possibility and very real theory that that yes, I don't think they expected there to be pushback here.
Not to this extent that Anne's going. Anne has hired an investigative team, and she is literally combing through every single piece of evidence and requesting every expert report.
Yeah.
She wants all of it, and she wants the time to really dig through all of it. And I think that they didn't expect that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Or maybe just problems started coming up.
For me, it just shows again a lack of experience personally. I think this should be the first go-to right away. As soon as they wondered and thought that Bryan Kohberger could be their guy. Look, it's a 1-2 punch. You look into his background and you realize, oh, he has a tech background. Oh, in criminology. okay, what tech does he have? They should have been figuring these things out. This should have been number one. Like, these into the victims' devices is what I would have expected to see in November.
That's what I'm saying
Yeah.
right there, is that I don't understand when you have a homicide to this extent, and these are young kids that are constantly on their phones and posting to social media, interacting with lots of different people on the internet. Like, why did they not immediately think, okay, we need to know everyone they had contact with for the past 6 months on every social media platform? You cast out that net immediately.
I agree. That's what should have been done. I agree with you. I've said the whole time that applications are going to be the determining factor here. We even did the video on the background recordings of audios being able to place you,
The hum.
the hum, more of a reliable location-based sound identifier than even a tower, the
wild.
Moscow horrible towers. But these are super interesting, and I think they could tell a lot. And I think there's a lot of in-between information here where it's not direct information being said in these search warrants and requests, but it's the in-between information, like things like the date, the fact that they're looking at Ethan Chapin's TikTok.
And Bethany and Dylan's to present, to current day.
Correct. Yeah. And into Dylan's and Bethany's, like you said, I think that's interesting. I think it is very interesting. And if it's to present day,
that's
are they
interesting.
looking for others? Like I've said, are they looking for somebody else? Are they looking for a co-conspirator?
Yeah.
Are they looking for something additional here? Are they coming to a conclusion that, like, okay, maybe we went too fast.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to quadruple check our work. Maybe something's not adding up now like we thought it was 6 months ago. I don't know.
That's what I think.
I don't know.
Because it's really odd to just, like, literally a year into the case, almost, to start requesting the surviving roommate's TikTok's account from months before the crime, June 1st, 2022, all the way to present day, which was August 2023.
Yeah.
It's really odd to do that this far into the case.
Yeah, I'm not looking at
And
it
Ethan's.
too like they're necessarily the suspects, but again, it could be a situation of where exactly it is casting a net, or if there is a suspect out there or another suspect out there, would they be looking at their account? Could they be like, oh, why is this account came to their TikTok like every day for the last 3 months? You know what I mean? Does this person have any relation and or contact to these individuals? Why are they here?
Yeah, I mean, and it's weird, that, like, are they looking for some kind of stalker anywhere? Because remember, they said they dug into Kaylee having a stalker and she didn't have one.
Yeah.
But then they come out and say, well, actually, there was a stalker and it was Bryan Kohberger.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then now they're digging into all of this. It makes you wonder, like, are they looking for a co-defendant, like another stalker?
Yep. Yeah, and just like some of the examples of stuff they're looking for is like deleted searches, search history, accounts that have friended them, accounts that have left comments, accounts that have left comments and deleted it, comments they've left and deleted it, like anything. Something to remember, you guys, for anybody that's not like super tech savvy, which I don't ever want anyone to feel like they should be or need to be. It's just like another profession. There are people out there that are like phenomenal on cars, can do anything to a car. That's like technology. There are people out there that are just attracted to it and they like doing it.
But you should know the basics around safety and technology if you're going to use it. Like, which people can, it can be pretty easy to learn how to just be safe.
Yeah, but so don't feel bad in that way, and that's why I'm just explaining like some of the background of what exactly they're looking for. And with apps like this, all of these that we're talking about, when you do something online, you're essentially like you're putting a handprint in the sand. You're leaving your mark there. The only thing is that sand never goes away, ever. It will forever be there. And it just depends on who has the power to see that mark.
Like trace DNA.
Yeah, yeah. Who has the power to see that mark? Because you might delete it and it might not say, hey, there was a message deleted here and this is what it said. But the companies who manage these platforms and own them can see that.
They have a record of it.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Things don't just go away on the internet. So I'm curious what you guys think and how you feel about it. It's interesting, and I'm curious if you think that there's a potential they're looking at somebody else or for somebody else, or this is just the standard background of information we expected to see from police. Because this is again more of what I expected to see the whole time. Is anyone close to that house, anybody tied to that house, including the unnamed roommate that had yet to move in, there should be search warrants on everybody.
There should be.
There needs to be a basic search warrant just looking into their geolocation and GPS. If their geolocation and or GPS shows that, well, they kind of came to the house a lot, they kind of drove by here a lot, you're looking for identifying patterns of behavior. If they have that, then that gives you the red flag to dig a little deeper. Okay, well then let's look into the applications and see how often they were. You know what I mean?
You know what my theory is? So remember back when we covered the first unsealed search warrants that we talked about, like around this time of last year?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, why are they redacting the person's name off of it? Do they have a co-defendant? And you were like, no way, I don't think so. And you're like, they're for Bryan. It's so obvious. Well, actually, I was just sitting here thinking about it, and I was like, light bulb. They are redacting Bryan's name off of any search warrants now because they don't want people digging, and they think it's going to prejudice what people think in the public.
Maybe, I don't know.
Or it looks bad on them because it's like we're just now digging into all of this of Bryan's. I think there's a reason.
I think that's more likely.
I think there's a reason I think there's a reason we're not seeing any search warrants with his name on them, but we're seeing ones for the victims and ones that are redacted with no name. That makes me think all the ones with no name, for the most part, are Bryan Kohberger. And there's a reason behind that where they're trying to protect his right somehow, or, not make themselves look bad for just now looking at all of this stuff. There's some reason to it, I think.
Or 6 months ago or whatever it was.
Yeah.
This is all stuff that should have happened before January 1st of 2023, in my opinion. But
same.
Yeah. Let me know what you guys think, and I'm curious how you feel about it. Leave the comments below, and if you want to know more information into the tech stuff, leave a comment. I will dig deeper if you want me to.